Hello everyone, my name is Graham. I'm the developer for the DiggDawg app. In today's video, we're just going to be going through the various steps you need to get your account up and running. There's a few kind of basic building blocks you need to put in place before you can really start making use of the app. So I thought it'd be a good idea just to run through the steps and hopefully it's not too long a video. So yeah, I'm not going to bother with things like logging in and registering an account. I think we all know how to do that by now. So I'll just kind of batter on and show you guys and girls out there how to use the app. So I'm going to cover a few topics in the video today. So the topics are, we're going to create dog profiles, and I'll just run through how you create a profile, how you amend details, and what you can do with a dog's profile. I'll talk about creating groups, which is kind of like templates you use for your calendar. I'll give you a brief rundown of what the calendar is, the various kind of events you can add to your calendar and what you can do with it. I'll take you through an individual dog's walk history as well. I'll give you some information about the dashboard as well. Talk about things like birthdays and boarding events and things like that. And finally, I'll round off by talking about the kind of finance breakdown you get from the app as well. Okay, so let's jump straight into it. Alright, so here we are at the doghouse. This will be the first place you start. So when you first have an account with DiggDawg, you're going to need to do some kind of wireframing to get your account up and running. But the good news is that once it's done, it's done. Okay, so I'm guessing the first portion of your usage of the app is going to be adding dog profiles. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly run you through creating a dog profile and what you can do with that profile. Okay, so on the doghouse, simply just tap the plus icon here. Alright, and then what you'll see is the form for adding a new dog. So you'll see information like adding a profile picture, a dog name, the date of birth, and charge per walk. Okay, so all that's actually required to create a dog is the name and how much you charge per walk. Okay, so the good news is that once you add a charge per walk, you never have to do it again for that dog. So I'm going to add Woofy. Alright, and we'll make Woofy's birthday, let's see, 2nd of September. Let's go for that. Okay, so we've got Woofy, date of birth 2nd of September, and how much charge per walk. Once we've done that, hit the check mark at the top right, and fingers crossed, you'll see that Woofy's been successfully added. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, I've been able to add very, very basic details about the dog, but what can I do? What more information can I do with my dog and potentially my client? Okay, so what you can do now is once you go back to the doghouse, you'll see here that Woofy has been freshly made. Oh, excuse me. Clicking on Ralph's profile picture. So you can see here at the bottom of the doghouse, we've got Woofy. So we're just going to tap to go into his profile. Automatically assuming it's a guy. I don't know. I guess it's a male name. So anyway, you can see here that we've still got the option to add a cover photo. You can see here we filled out information about the full name, the date of birth, and how much we charge per walk. But the difference here you'll see via the doghouse is that there's 4 icons along the top of your phone. Okay, so this is where you can add additional information. So if we click the second tab, you'll see here this is information about the owner. So you can fill in the owner's name, the owner's address, and owner's telephone, and obviously their email address as well. Now if you'll notice here, there's green icons next to the address and the telephone. So that's just like a little something I added. So for example, if you put the address in and you click the map icon, it'll open up in your default map viewer, which for Android users will be Google Maps, and for Apple users it might be Apple Maps. It might also be Google Maps depending on what you use. So it's just a quick handy function there. You can also add more sort of secondary information about the dog, such as their breed, their chip number. You can see all the information about your vet. I've also put the phone and a map functionality in there as well, and also any additional details at the bottom, such as allergies and things like that. Okay, so the 4th icon we're going to come back to a little later in the video tutorial, and this is about the walk history of a dog. Okay, so we've kind of walked through creating a dog profile. Next, what we're going to do is look at making groups. Okay, so we've created some dogs. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to create groups. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of background information on what a group actually is, I would classify a group as a collection of dogs that you probably always walk together. So if you walk, say for example, on a Monday afternoon, you always walk the same 4 or 5 dogs. You might want to create a group because then this makes it really easy to map to your calendar, and I'll demonstrate that a little further in the video. Okay, so what I'm going to do just now is I'm going to create a group. Okay, so I'm just going to, again, like I created a dog, hit the green plus icon. Okay, and that'll take you to a form. So there's a few fields here that you need to fill out. Everything is required, such as the group name, the start of your walk, and the end of your walk. You assign a color, and that kind of that maps through the app, so you can always got a visual cue of what color the walk is, and then the ability to add dogs. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add a test group. I didn't make it number 2. Sorry, what am I doing here? There we go. Test group 2. So we'll start it at quarter past 6. Because we all started walking at 6:15, Graham, right enough. We'll walk till 9:15. That's a long bloody walk, I tell you. Right, okay. So you assign a colour, and then we'll just add a few dogs. So we'll assign Flynn, Guy, Luna, and Maggie. Alright. And once you've done that, just click the check mark as you would have created a dog, and then voila, you've made a group. Okay, so if you go back to the doghouse and you click on the groups tab, you'll see that we've got 2 groups now. So we've got test group 1 and test group 2, and you'll see the colors associated with it that you chose, and you'll also see the dogs that are assigned to that group. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to go through and just have a quick highlight. So if you actually look at the group, it's pretty much all the same information you'd expect. Maybe you want to add a new dog to that group, so we'll add Ralph to it. Okay, because we forgot to add them in the first place. And we'll see here when we go back to our groups that Ralph's now been added. So what you also see is once you start adding dogs to your groups, if you go back to the dogs tab, it'll give you a rundown of who's actually assigned to it. So we can see here, for example, that Flynn is in test group 2, Guy is in test group 1 and test group 2. All right. Okay, so we've created our dogs, we've kind of created our sort of groups, our packs, and what we're going to do now is look at the calendar and all the kind of features that come with the calendar. So here we are. We have created our dog profiles, we've created our templates. It's time to now kind of run through the diary, which is where you'll do a bulk of your work. All right, so this is what an empty diary is going to look like. So you'll see here, there's just a few call to actions, and a few filters. So what we'll do is we'll start building our diary, add a few walks and things like that, and then I'll show you how the calendar works. Okay, so today is Sunday the 8th of August. So what I'm going to do is, let's say for Monday, I'm going to add an event or a walk or whatever. So you click the plus icon once you've selected your day. All right, and then what you'll see is a sheet that pops up from the bottom, and you've got 4 options. Okay, so the first option is what I call a one-off walk. So say for example you have a walk that you're going to do, and it's it's a group of dogs that you've kind of mishmashed together because it's not who you'd walk normally. I just thought it'd be good, as well as being able to add groups, it'd be good just to create one-off walks. So say for example you get a last-minute request to add, do a solo walk for one of your clients, you do have that ability. You've got the option to add groups. So if you remember previously in the video, we added groups. So this is a very, very quick way of adding groups of dogs to your calendar. Okay, you've also got the option for adding expenses and adding boarding events. So what we'll do is we'll just go through them very quickly, one at a time, just to show you what they can do. All right, so let's start with a one-off walk. Okay, so a one-off walk, all that's required when you've already selected your day, as you can see at the top of your phone. All we need is a start time, an end time, and what dogs we're going to walk. Okay, so we're just going to select very sensitive. That's a very, very long walk. Okay, so we've got our start time and our end time, and then so let's just say, for example, we're going to walk Shiloh and Woofy. All right, and if you click the check mark at the top, you'll start to see a theme here that your walk's been added to your diary. Okay, so you should now click on My Diary, and then what you'll see here is, if we go back to the 9th of August, you'll see here that we have created our single walk, and it's got Shiloh and Woofy on it. So if you want to see more information about that walk, what you can do is you can just tap, and then what you'll be taken to is a summary. So on the summary, you can do things like adding dogs, removing dogs, as well as adding things like notes about the walk. So say for example you had an incident that you want to bring up at a later date, you can just mark it in there. So Woofy hurt his paw, and I'm sorry if the keyboard is excruciating on your ears when I'm typing. I'll hopefully try and edit that out. So we've done that, and you can click things like save, and you'll see here that notes in the walk have been saved. So say for example here, we forgot to add like Ralph to the walk. This one-off walk, not the group. So you can click add dogs to walk, and you'll see here that any dog that you've created that hasn't been assigned to this particular walk is available to select. So we said we're going to add Ralph. Okay, so we add Ralph. So see here that Ralph's now been added to the walk. You can see here that the total cost of your walk is updated. But wait a minute, Shiloh's not meant to be on this walk either. So we can just remove Shiloh. And then you'll think, oh, crikey, I meant to do this on the 10th, not the 9th. So you do have the option to delete a walk entirely. All right, so your app can be quite flexible if you want. If you're looking for, I also put this in, if you tap the profile image of the dog, you'll get basic information about that dog, just in case, for whatever reason, you want to reference information about the dog. So yeah, we'll just delete that for the time being. Okay, so a single walk has been successfully removed. So we'll go back to the diary and we'll just create a group. So this is where it becomes, I think it becomes really easy. So if you have planned out your groups accordingly, I think it becomes really quick to sort of build your calendar. So say for example, we've got August the 8th and we want to add these two groups. All you have to do is click the check mark and you'll see here that is checked. You can add one group. All right. So we'll add the test group 1. Okay. So we've added our test group. So go back to our diary and you can see here that we've got the test group, which is great. But say for example, we want to add another group for that day. What the app will tell you is it'll look at that day and it'll tell you what groups you've already got assigned. So there's no possibility that you're going to duplicate the groups that you're going to add. Okay, so we're just going to add the only other available group we have. And fantabadozy, we have got two groups mapped to August the 8th. Again, groups and single one-off walks have the exact same look and feel. You can go in and you can delete dogs, you can add add new dogs to the walk, you can make notes about the walk, change the start time and the end time as well. So why I think this works really well is, say for example, I mean, you're always going to have a core group of dogs that you always walk. But if you're kind of like me, I've got, 2 or 3 ad hoc dogs and it just depends when the client shifts come in, whatever. So this is where I would say, groups are good for dogs that are always consistent in terms of their days. When you want to sort of add, ad hoc dogs, this is when I would do it. I would add your group first. And then I would go in and edit that day. And then say, for example, I got a request to walk Flynn on August the 8th. I would just be like, okay, it's a one-off. He's not actually in the group I created, but he's going to be in this group just this once. This is where I would add any ad hoc dogs, okay? So we've done, you can see that single walks and group walks are pretty much like for like in how they work. What I'll run through next is quickly do an expense. This is bog standards, it's mark fuel, cost me £40, whatever, blah blah blah. Choose a date if you want to. Run through the expense. Yep, done that. That's fine. I don't need to really run through what expenses. Lastly, what I'll add is a boarding event. Okay. So a boarding event, again, is pretty straightforward. You're going to select a start time of when you're boarding the dog, and an end time. So let's see, we'll board a dog from the 8th of August until the 13th. Okay, and the default charge is already there, but you can change that if you want to now. So what you see here is the math at the top, hopefully is correct. So we've got a charge per day of £30. We're boarding for 5 days and we're making 150 beans. Happy days. Okay, so boarding events only take one dog at a time. So I'm just going to quickly assign a nice colour. Let's go for a nice red, and let's have Maggie. Okay, so we'll add our boarding event and then go back to the diary as well. And you can see here that the calendar is now starting to slowly populate, and if you click through the days, what you'll find is that any sort of walks, boarding events or expenses you've added will start to show. So if you start to feel that the diary is becoming a little clogged in terms of the number of events, like, for example, here we've got 2 groups, we've got expenses, we've got boarding, maybe you just want to know, what walks you've got. So pretty obvious, hit the walks tab at the top here, and that will filter your calendar to show only walks. And you can also do the same for boarding events. So you can see here the days of boarding that we've assigned, right up until the 13th are all marked for Maggie. And lastly, you can see any expenses you've logged. So if you look at the calendar here, we can see here this little dot here under the 8th tells us where our expense is. So that just gives you a nice easy way to, filter through, because our diaries will become quite clogged. So I thought that would be, good to have that kind of level of separation. You can change months and stuff by like swiping the calendar, like as you would, any regular calendar. You can change it via the green icons at the top arrows here. And if you want to quickly go back to today's date, just click the today button. All right, so that was a very, very quick whirlwind tour of the calendar and what you can do with it. As you can see, you've got various options that you can add, like walks, boarding, and expenses as well. So now that we have kind of run through, building your calendar, let's see what else the app can do for us. All right, so as we just covered in the video there, we added and went through talking about calendar events, from walks to boarding and marking expenses. So what I've done is just to show you a kind of complete profile. I've logged into my personal account that I'm kind of using at the moment, just to keep tabs on my walks and things like that. So I've got a couple of things more that I want to discuss with you. We'll go back to the doghouse very quickly. Now, if you remember, I covered earlier in the video about actually a dog's profile and what information you could do from there. We didn't really go through what the fourth tab was. So what I'm going to quickly do now is show you what happens after you started populating your calendar with walks. So if you go back to one of your dog's profiles, we'll see here we've got Freya, absolutely beautiful French bulldog, so funny. She's like a little old lady. I love her. Anyways, if you click on the fourth icon, the calendar icon, what this does is this gives you an entire history of any walks and any boarding that they've ever done with you. So I thought it'd be quite good to see on a dog basis rather than a calendar basis, how many walks you were doing and what you were kind of making from them. So you can see here, Freya's one of my regulars. I walk her Monday to Friday, and say for example, like you think, what day did I walk Maggie? Did she actually walk on Monday the 2nd of August? So if you feel like for that dog you've made a mistake, you can actually go into the walk summary via their profile, and you have the option to then remove Freya from the walk if you want to. Now I'm not going to do that because I actually did walk her that day and it'll mess up my diary if I delete her. Okay, so that's quite good. I'm trying to think of a dog that I've boarded. So you can see here, this is all the walks I've done recently. You can change the months, to see what they've done previously and things like that as well. So who did I board recently? So I think I boarded Dougal recently. Okay, did I board Dougal? Yes, I did. Right. Okay. So down here on Friday the 6th of August, you'll see here that as well as the walks, you can see an example of boarding. So I actually took him for an overnighter as a tester for when his owners go away, things like holidays and things like that. So again, it's just to kind of demonstrate that walks and any kind of boarding events for that particular dog are marked in their profile. So again, just very, very handy for a quick reference if you ever need to go and quickly edit a walk, but you can't remember, you don't want to go for the hassle of going through your calendar to find the group that you walk to then edit the dog's whatever, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, if you do want to go through a dog's walk and boarding history, you do it via their profile. So again, just gives you lots of flexibility when using the app. Okay, so kind of like there's a couple more things I want to run through. So once you have started creating things like your dogs, your groups, you've planned your walks and things like that as well, what you'll start to notice is that the dashboard becomes a bit more livelier. Okay, so in the dashboard, I've kind of added this basic monthly reporting. So this will give you a summary of the current month that you're in. It'll tell you your income. It'll tell you your expenses as well. So if you've marked any expenses, that'll sort of tell you the figures, and it'll also actually tell you your profit as well. It'll tell you how many walks you've done and boarding events. One thing, quick thing to note on boarding events, say for example, you have a boarding event that spans months. What that will do is it'll tell you how many days in that month. So say for example, we've got August here, and we board 3 days in August, but then we've got 3 days in September. The monthly report will calculate how many days in August. It won't count any of September's, so it really does give you an accurate overview of what you're actually making for that month. Funnily enough, another feature that when I first put a prototype up on Facebook, a lot of people had actually asked about the dog's birthdays, notifications and things like that. So I didn't even click, because when I ask my clients to fill out forms, I ask for, I think it's their date of birth, but I don't really ask for their age. So a few people had asked me for the date of birth. So the dashboard will show any dogs in the upcoming calendar, well, not calendar month, in the next like 30-day span. That'll work out when a dog's birthday is, and I'll tell you when the birthday is and how old they are. So you can see here, I've got Autumn's birthday in 10 days, I've got Baz's birthday in 19 days, and I've also got Alfie's birthday in 21 days. So I some of you, I'm pretty forgetful, and you might want to get them a present, or you might just want to wish them a happy birthday, because, you know, we're dog people, we're like that. You know, that's just what we do. So also as well, the dashboard will tell you today and tomorrow's walks. So I don't have any walks today because it's Sunday, but I do have walks tomorrow. So this will also give you a quick overview of today's and tomorrow's walks. Oh, I also meant to say, if you click into the birthday, it'll take you to their profile, just a quick jump, and it's the same with any walks in your dashboard. So say for example, like tomorrow, do I actually have Bertie tomorrow? I just want to double check that. So you can click Bertie, and then you'll see it takes you to the walk summary, where you can just double check the information about that walk. Okay, so that's what the dashboard is. It's kind of like a nice kind of aesthetic. I hope anyway that it is an aesthetic summary of your calendar, you know, your walks, birthdays, and things like that. If you want to check your finances, just, you know, for, you know, previous months and things like that, you have a tab in your account. So if you click on your account, the first tab is kind of like a monthly report. So that will tell you, so say for example here from August, it'll tell you how much you made from walks, it'll tell you how much you made from boarding, any expenses you've used, and tell you your income and your profit as well. And if you want, you can just use the arrows to, you know, quickly switch months if you need to go back and double check. And again, the account section is pretty self-explanatory. You can edit things like your passwords, and you can edit your personal details. You can also edit the default charge per walk and the default boarding charge per day as well, so you know that's not locked in. Okay, so that was basically a sort of very quick video. I hope it was quick anyway. Overview of the DiggDawg app. I hope there's a lot of features in there that you all love. I certainly don't intend to sit on the level of functionality that I have. I would really like to get a lot of feedback from people who are using it. I want to take on you know, user requests. So as I say, if the app is not quite for you yet, I hope it is, but if it's not, I'll certainly be taking on client requests and implementing new features and functionality as time progresses. But what I wanted to do was add a very kind of solid foundation to the app first, before branching out and, you know, seeing what people want and adding new features. Okay, so I hope you've really enjoyed the video. As I said, you know, you can add dogs, you can add templates, you can map, you know, walks to your calendar. It starts to look like a packet of Skittles eventually, with all the colours. Hopefully you'll enjoy using the app, and you know, if you want to know more, you can subscribe to, you know, you can do all the socials like Facebook and Instagram. I do all that malarkey as well, if you want to keep up to date, and that's how, you know, I'll try and keep in touch with everyone with regards to, you know, any feedback they want to offer or any issues they have with the app. Okay, so I'm not going to spraff for too much longer. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope to see you all on DiggDawg very soon.